I want to give you an update on my Superlight. You know, this thing keeps evolving, and I think I finally got it to the point where I like it for what I do here in my shop. I have the basic light, which is a cordless battery-operated, high-powered LED light bar, and I can put it on 3 different stands. And as we go through this video, I think you'll begin to realize why this works so well when working on cars. Now, you may not need all 3 attachments, depending upon the type of work that you do. But this all started because of my frustration, which was originally due to the lights that were readily available on the market. Now, this is a really nice LED flashlight with a magnetic base. Of course, I bought this thinking this would be great. You know, I could put it on my toolbox, I could shine it on top of my box when I'm working on something or in the engine compartment. But look, unless I'm working right here, like this, right underneath the light, this doesn't do much for me. So I gave up and I decided, okay, I'm gonna keep working on a shop light until I have exactly what I want. And if you've watched this series, you know some of my criteria. Number 1, cordless, has to be battery operated. Number 2, has to be portable and actually move on wheels, as you recently saw in one of my other videos. And now I've got a couple other attachments which make this light really ideal. Now here's the heart and soul of the Superlight, as I call it. Now I've developed these stands so they have wing nuts so I can take it on and off. But this is the light bar. This is the basis of the light. Has 2 very strong LED off-road running lights that run on anywhere from 12 to about 28 volts. And I use a lithium polymer battery, which is the same battery I use to fly a number of my model aircraft. Now, a lot of you may not have access to lithium polymer batteries or may not want to learn how to use those because there are some drawbacks. But you can see here I've got 2 lights. They swivel, they tilt, and each one is switched individually. Now, depending upon the stand I put this on, if I put it on this stand here, this is the ideal stand for working on a bench. I've got 2 trays here. I can put rather large tools in the top tray. I can put small parts in the bottom tray. And I can be working on a job on my bench here and light up the entire bench, depending upon how I tilt these. Okay, that's the first attachment for the Superlight. The second attachment is this one right here. Because if you look at this tray assembly, it's a little too tall to get underneath the car. This, by the way, is ideal if you're working along the side of the car, maybe doing some door panel work, or sitting down working along, let's say on the brakes or the suspension, you have the car jacked up. This is ideal. You can put your tools and parts in these 2 trays. You can mount this right here on this stand and direct the light where you want it. But what about when you want to work underneath the car? Maybe you got the car jacked up and you need to get the light under the car. Maybe you're changing your rear end oil. So this is where this comes in right here. I can mount the light bar on this, and I'm going to tighten this wing nut down. And of course I tighten it down until it's about finger tight. Now watch. This will swivel like this, and once again you can tilt the lights and aim them where you want. And just the other day when I was doing some under dash work in a W116, I found out that this is the ideal light to work inside the car under the dash because it's low enough you can set this right in front of the front seat, and then you can aim the lights up under the dash panel where it's so hard, so difficult to work. And as you know from previous videos, really the initial stand for this light bar was a tripod. Let me show you that now, and let me show you how that's evolved over the last few weeks as well. So here you see the 3 mounts for the T-bar light. This I'm going to call the bench mount attachment. This is the floor mount, and then you have the rolling tripod stand mount here. Once again, you just take and move this on top that stud, and I'm going to put the washer on there and tighten it down with the wing nut. You can see it's pretty easy to move from attachment to attachment, and then turning the lights on You know, once again, I can point them almost straight at the ground, or they can tilt far enough back so I can go up on them. And what I really like about this is you can just quickly move this while working, whether you're working under the car or like in the engine compartment, you could raise this up like this and back down. But look at how easy it is to swivel the light and to move the stand. Now let's go over underneath the car I have on the lift, and I'll show you how this rolls underneath the car again. Of course, if you're fortunate enough to have a lift, this is where this rolling tripod stand really shines. You can move this thing way up in the air like this and do some really nice work around the brakes and suspension by even getting inside the wheel wear. You can imagine if the tire were off, I could move this around this rear brake rotor and really see what's going on. Then of course you just lower it down like this if it's too high, and just easily get under the car like this. If you want to do a quick inspection underneath here, just being able to turn the lights up like this and then just roll the car. You don't even have to move. Very different from using a flashlight where you got to kind of walk around everywhere and point exactly where you want to see to be able to see anything clearly. But with this super light, it makes working under a car actually a lot more pleasurable now, particularly when it's really dark, and most of the time it is really dark under the car. So you can use the table mount stand when you're working under the car to put it off the side. But once again, if you want to really get under a car where you're working close to the ground, maybe just on a couple of ramps, then using that floor mount attachment really works well. And let me tell you, all three of these stands are very stable, and it makes it very difficult. You can imagine trying to bump this. You're not gonna knock that one over. So what's next for the Superlight? You know, I have to admit, I'm not really sure. For one thing, it's not as easy to make these as you might think. One of the biggest challenges I have is to beef up the ends of these tubes. These are aluminum tubes, and when you purchase these, they come with these aluminum fittings. So I've had to machine a special threaded shaft that goes down in, fits tight in this aluminum tubing to provide the strength over the long period to make these lights reliable. I should also mention that I'm working on some options to be able to use some small sealed AGM batteries with this light. These are a lot safer and much more easily charged than lithium polymer batteries. So what this is going to require is probably some extension cords like this along with this battery. And note this small battery, if you get a small enough one, it will fit in the tray like that. Both in the tripod stand and in the bench mount stand, you can put the battery close to the edge there of the stand. And you know, it's a little heavy, but it's going to be able to let you use a lead acid type battery or an AGM. I prefer AGM any day over lead acid. These are sealed, maintenance free. You knock them over, turn them upside down, they don't spill, and they actually survive long storage periods as well. With this attachment, you'll be able to hook up the Superlight and plug it into the cigarette lighter of the car while you're working, and then you won't have to worry about shortened battery life. I'm also working on warnings that you can mount on the Superlight, which will let you know when your battery's getting low so you don't run your battery all the way down dead. Now that's really critical when you're using lithium polymer batteries. So those are the other things I'm working on. I'll let you know in the next video how this is coming, and hopefully you'll have a number of options on different types of batteries and 12-volt power sources that you can use yourself with a Superlight. Testing, 1, 2, 3, rolling, rolling. Okay, get out there quick.
I don't need to go up there.
No.
I need sockets.